What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So we got another champ versus champ video coming up today. It's been a little while since I've done one of these, but I really enjoy doing them. Hopefully you guys like them as well. Drop a like down below if you do enjoy them, and let me know what champion you want to see compared. Typically I did damage dealers because they're pretty easy to compare, put the same gear on each of them, test them out, see which one does better, and give you guys the results. But I had recently pulled on my free-to-play account Uugo, and I've been using Thylessia for a long time. So I figured, hey, let's go ahead and do a video talking about the pros and cons of each, and then I'm going to share with you guys what I plan to do with Uugo, what I plan to do with Thylessia, where I plan to use both of them. So I want to go ahead and preface this by saying both of these champions are absolutely amazing. If you pull these, you're going to use them. You're going to absolutely love them. I can almost guarantee it. Now, one little, caveat is that Thylessia, one little bit of information is that Thylessia on my main account, I don't really use her that much anymore. If I would have pulled her several months ago, maybe I would have used her more, but to be honest, I don't really need what she brings on my main account. Now on the flip side, my free-to-play account, I use her an absolute ton. She's a massive upgrade to War Maiden. She's such a good champion, and I'm probably going to continue to use her for quite a while to come. Uugo, on the other hand, I use her a lot on my main, and I literally just pulled her on my free-to-play, so she's level 1. So she's not got any use just yet. Now let's go ahead and jump into, I'm going to compare their base stats side by side. We're going to go over here to hellhades.com, compare their base stats side by side. It's much easier to do it like this versus going in the index, looking at one, backing out, go and look at the other. So looking at their base stats, we have Thylessia. You can kind of tell a champion how Raid wants you to build them by looking at their base stats, okay? So Thylessia, 12k HP, 1400 attack, 1000 defense, 97 speed, 15% crit rate. It's typically standard across the board, always 15%. Crit damage, 60%. That's a little bit higher than normal. Uugo, on the other hand, 19,000 base HP, 700 attack, 1200 defense, 102 base speed, 50% crit damage, 30 resist, 15 accuracy. So comparing these two champions just right off the bat, if you don't even want to watch any more of the video, you can kind of see, hey, Raid is saying Thylessia can do some damage. Most likely. She's squishy, high attack, and good crit damage, better crit damage than Uugo. So you kind of get a picture, kind of get the idea that they want you to build her as a damage dealer. Now, Uugo, on the other hand, she's much more tanky. She's built to be much more solid, very solid base defense, very solid base attack, or not base attack, not solid base attack, very solid base HP. So you kind of just see by looking at her, hey, she's not so much a damage dealer. She's thicker than Thylessia physically and statistically, right? Like stats, she's looking much better overall. So going down here to their multipliers though, you look at her, Uugo's A2 ability, it's a 4.8 multiplier. So like she can actually smack fairly hard, right? Going over here to Thylessia, go down. She has a 3.7 multiplier on her A2 as well as her A3. A3 is a decreased defense. Her A2 is her AoE, increase the duration of all debuffs on all enemies by 1 turn. Absolutely amazing as well. But you kind of get the picture, you kind of get the idea between those two champions. But let's go over here. Let's look at Thylessia first. Talk about her pros and cons, where I use her, what my ideas are, and then we'll talk about Uugo, same thing. And then I'll try to do a few arena matches with both of them on each one of my accounts. So it's going to be a different result. I don't have exact comparisons, but hopefully this gives you a pretty good idea if you've pulled one of them, if you should invest in them, okay? So first off, Thylessia, her A1 ability, I'll show you her masteries on my free-to-play account, what I have over there. My main account, don't really have much going on with her masteries, as you can see, but I do use her in Faction Wars. Her A1 attacks one enemy. Ignore the books. She actually doesn't need books whatsoever, which is a huge, huge plus side for her. She doesn't need books at all. I mean, free to play. Doesn't matter what you are, okay? If you are playing Raid, you're struggling with books, okay? It's just flat out. That's how it is. She doesn't need books, so it makes her so much better in that case that she has these book spots, but she doesn't really need them. Now, I did book her on my main account, but that's irrelevant, okay? Her A1 attacks one enemy, 50% chance of applying debuff spread effect, taking one random debuff from the target and placing it on all enemies under Hex. To be quite honest, this is just an A1 ability that hits. I don't really think of it as much else because while you can place the Hex, while Hex is maybe kind of cool, I have never actually took her into battle with the idea that Hex is going to help me win the battle. So maybe some of you have. If you have, let me know. But I typically don't run it like that. You can on her passive when attacking enemies under decreased defense debuff, has a 50% chance of applying Hex. So it does have some synergy and it does work in her kit, but it's never really, phased me. It's never really mattered to me about that effect on her A1. Her A2 attacks all enemies, increases the duration of all debuffs on all enemies by 1 turn. This is really good. This increases the decreased defense, decreased attack, poisons, burns. It's not going to increase the duration of like fears, freeze, sleep, nothing like that. Not going to increase those durations, but in the clan boss, it can increase poisons, it can increase your decreased attack, and it can increase all those debuffs and on a 3-turn cooldown with no books even involved. That's incredible. It's a very, very solid A2 ability. I really like it, and it hits pretty hard. 3.7 multiplier, typically used after the decreased defense is already applied, so it's even better. Her A3 attacks all enemies, decreased defense. I love it. Short, simple, to the point. When booked, 3-turn cooldown, but if you don't book it, it's a 4-turn cooldown. It's a pretty short cooldown as it is, and this hits pretty hard. Now, it doesn't apply the decreased defense and then hit. It attacks and then applies the decreased defense, so you're not able to get that extra boost, but when you come back around with this A2 ability, she's going to hit pretty daggone hard. Now, where does Thylessia struggle? So let's go ahead and jump over here to the free-to-play. I'm going to do a few arena matches, which I don't know if it's going to be even saying much because the arena is still in a kind of a weird situation. But Thylessia, where does she struggle? So being Force Affinity, you can see Duchess is Spirit Affinity. So she's going to have a difficult time always getting that decreased defense to land because of the possibility of weak hits happening. Even against Deacon, against Magnar. I can't tell you how many times on this low-level account that I've come against Magnar, and Thylessia doesn't land the decreased defense and it just screws my team up. Because Magnar literally can one-shot a whole team. He doesn't need increased attack, so his leader doing anything doesn't really matter. So he's several times came back, one-shot my whole team, or a Duchess, go ahead and res the whole team because she doesn't die. If you have a nuker who relies on that decreased defense being placed, if you have a nuker who needs a little bit of help from a damage dealer, Thylessia is an absolutely amazing champion. Absolutely amazing. Thylessia hits really hard. Now, granted, she has the big downside of being weak against Force Affinity or Spirit Affinity champions, but depending on where your account's at, that may or may not matter. Like on my main account, I have Ray, which doesn't matter because she's strong against Spirit Affinity, so she'll delete people no matter what, right? So Thylessia doesn't have to apply that decreased defense for it to make sense. I also have Savage Gear on my Ray. Decreased defense is amazing, and I really want it to apply, but if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. On this account, though, we have a few things. First off, my Yakarl isn't geared to the point where he's like able to nuke everybody down. He's solid, but he's not tremendous. Thylessia, I went ahead and built her with 100% crit rate, good speed. She's faster than Yakarl. I have good attack on her, which I'm able to get because she has good base attack versus Uugo, not very good base attack, and I got good crit damage. With her accuracy, I haven't built her like I do a lot of my support champions with like just a ton of accuracy. I've built her with a level of accuracy that should apply to most people in the level of arena that I'm at. Now, on my main account, like with Madame Ceres, I just push her accuracy as absolutely as high as I can because nothing else really matters. But with Thylessia, she's an absolutely amazing hybrid build. And if you need extra damage from somebody, she works perfect because she gives you that decreased defense and she gives you that nice, solid, extra damage on her hit. You can see, let's go ahead and jump into another match. This may be a little bit sketchy because we have a Lysandra and the leader on the enemy's team, but we're gold 1 on the free-to-play, so this is like crazy times. Now, we're just going to go ahead and back out because I don't really want to show losses like completely, okay? I don't want you guys to see my team just crumple. We'll go ahead and refresh it. I want to come against a Magnar team. Magnar, this is annoying. This is just not going to work, okay? Because we have Thylessia, maybe not landing the decreased defense on Vogoth or whatever it may be. It's going to be a terrible, terrible match. This one at the top, we should be able to do. We should be able to do this one. I just want to give you guys an example of how hard Thylessia hits compared to Yakarl. Now, obviously, limit your expectations because Thylessia is on my free-to-play account, so take that with a grain of salt. She's not going to hit like a truck, but she's going to hit pretty respectable, I believe. Let's go ahead and see. She hits for 5,000, 5,600, 4,600. Yakarl's over here hitting for 11,000 on Warlord and then like 9,000 on Syl. So Thylessia hit a respectable amount for a champion who's geared to apply her debuffs and to do damage, whereas Yakarl is just strictly geared to do damage. I'd say Thylessia hit for a pretty good amount. And on my free-to-play account, especially trying to push into Gold 1, where these teams are inherently more tanky, I definitely need that extra damage. Now, this doesn't matter because like I can't kill him. Like if I need even more damage, I always need more damage. So with Thylessia, if I can get her better damage gear, I'm going to do that. If I can get Yakarl better gear, I'm going to do that. But right now, I just need any extra damage that I can get, especially with having the freeze from Shiramani, which does lower the damage overall. They take 25% less damage. Yakarl mitigates that, yada, yada, yada. It doesn't really matter. We're not going to get into that. But either way, I need more damage. I always need more damage. Thylessia helps fill that gap just a little bit. Let's go ahead and see. There's been plenty of times where she'll just kill people. She'll just flat out kill people. 12,000 damage on, I don't even know that girl's name. Like, I think it's Talia. I don't know. She's irrelevant. She's been out of the meta for so long. Talia, I don't know, 45k. So obviously Yakarl's hitting miles harder than Thylessia is, but Thylessia has been hitting like this and been geared like this for a long time because it was pretty easy to hit those stat requirements and she works perfect. for doing exactly that. But like I said, against Magnars and Duchesses, she does come up a little bit short. She's great in the clan boss, very solid option for the decreased defense and extending debuffs that you have. Now, if you don't have good debuffs, like if you don't have decreased attack, she doesn't bring anything extra to the team, but she does bring a good extension. She does bring decent damage. And going over here to her account, let me show you her masteries real quick on how I have them set up inside my free-to-play account. And since she's part of my clan boss team, this is what I had set up. I wouldn't necessarily use her in the clan boss very long, but the debuff extension does give her a pretty viable, I guess, usage in the clan boss. So let's go ahead and move over to our girl Uugo. Let's go ahead on my main account, go out here to Uugo. So Uugo on my main account is actually built quite a bit different. So look at your masteries right here. This is how my Uugo main account masteries are. If you're going to use Uugo in your clan boss, I would probably just use the exact same masteries I had on Thylessia. So her artifacts, I have her built a lot different. This one is the actual Uugo that I use on Hydra and things like that. This other Uugo was one I tried to build for attack to show you guys how pitiful it was, okay? 2100 attack. I have a 60% increased attack chest plate. So this Uugo on my main account, which has been playing for a while, spent a lot of money, 2100 attack on Uugo. Let's go over here and look at Thylessia. Thylessia, what are you looking like on attack? Just to get a decent idea, okay? You got 5-star pieces of gear, 3,800, almost 4,000 attack. She doesn't have no attack boots, 5% or 50% attack chest plate. So you can obviously see the massive difference in attack right there. But let's look at Uugo's skill. Her A1. This is so good for the clan boss, okay? You can basically start to transition your champions out of lifesteal gear. Obviously, you still need to keep them pretty tanky, but you can start to transition them out of lifesteal gear because of this A1 ability. Attacks one enemy, 35% chance of placing leech debuff for 2 turns. The chance increases by 5% for each enemy alive, so an extra 5% on the clan boss. Her A2, decreased defense and block buffs. If it's fully booked, it's going to be a 100% chance to land both of those for 2 turns. Absolutely amazing. Great on Hydra, great for the arena. She doesn't do a lot of damage off of this ability, so you need your nuker to actually do good damage, but if you're going against Leoris, if you're going against Skullcrown, if you're going against Duchess, whatever it is, if you don't want to place buffs, don't want to place the unkillable, don't want to place Swift Parry, whatever it may be, she's an absolutely amazing champion. Keep in mind, against Force Affinity champions though, like maybe a Mountain King, you have Mother Cybele, you have a lot of very solid Candrafon, a lot of very solid Force Affinity champions who are pretty scary in the arena, who you're going to very likely weak hit and not place these debuffs at all. So you got to keep in mind that as well. If you use Magic Affinity Nuker, that could wreck your team if she doesn't place that block buffs as well as a decreased defense, setting your Nuker up to do a lot of damage. So she kind of has the same weakness as Thylessia as far as being Affinity, but that just comes with the territory as being an Affinity champion. You just got to keep in mind what you value more. Do you have a really strong Nuker who can wipe everybody out, or do you need a little extra damage? But this A2 works very good on Hydra. She has solid use on the clan boss, and this A3 ability removes all heal reduction, then removes 1 random debuff from all allies, then heals all allies by 20% of this champion's max HP. Now, we already talked about she's a pretty thick champion, right? She has very high base HP. So if she's healing based on her HP, her max HP, that's very nice because you can stack that up really high. You can say, hey, if she's at 100,000 HP, which is going to be pretty hard to get, of course, but you're going to have a 20,000 HP heal, which is absolutely huge. Now, if all allies are dead, revives them with 50% HP, then fills their turn meters by 50%. Obviously, this needs to be off cooldown, but her passive ability synergizes so well with this. Places a 30% increased speed buff and block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn whenever this champion's last living ally is killed. So assuming she's the last champion alive, which I mean, obviously she has to be to actually do this res, this is absolutely incredible. And I already know, most of you guys, if you're watching this video, you've probably been in the arena, you've probably seen an Uugo on the enemy team, forgotten about it, killed the rest of the team, she's alive, block damage, increase speed, res the entire team, and you're like, crap, now I gotta deal with this whole team again, and you probably go on to lose, which I've done quite a few times, but this ability, absolutely amazing. Kind of acts like a soft res. It's very conditional, but since she is such a tanky champion, she has a very good base defense, very good base HP. Look at Siphi, okay, to compare it. The base attack, the base HP, don't really worry about that as much because Siphi's quite a bit higher. Actually, no, not even that much crazy higher. Like 21,000 versus 19,000. That's not a huge difference. It's a legendary versus an epic champion, okay? One of the best legendaries, void legendary, that versus an epic champion. 1288 base defense. So Uugo is looking pretty good. She's a pretty solid champion as far as like building up to be tanky. Madame Ceres, let's take a look at her, okay? We'll compare it to Madame. Madame has less defense and about the same base HP. And Madame Ceres, you can build her to be pretty tanky as well. So Uugo is very, very conducive, I guess you could say, of being a tanky champion. Very tanky champion, build her with a lot of accuracy, whatever you need for the arena you're at. and she could very likely survive the enemy's nukes, come back to res your team, and then put you in a pretty good spot. So Uugo got a very solid spot in the arena, very solid spot in Clan Boss, very good spot in Hydra. She's an absolute amazing champion all around the board. She does have the issue, you do have to book her, okay? She does need to be fully booked. Not necessarily fully booked, but this A2 ability has 6 books. So you're definitely gonna have to invest at least 6 books. Honestly, if you're gonna do that, you might as well do this as well, which is another 6 books. And then if your RNG is like, man, you're gonna have to do this one as well, which is another 4 books. So you're looking at what? 6, 12, 4, so 16 books. That's quite a bit of books, especially when you don't got that many. But fortunately, on free-to-play account, I had Thylessia, and I actually haven't used any books recently for a while. So I actually have 24 books. Yeah, kind of flexing. Sorry guys if you are sitting on one epic book, but books are hard to come by. So Uugo definitely requires some books. She definitely likes to read. She definitely needs to read. Thylessia, on the other hand, doesn't matter. She don't need to read. She don't need books. So both these champions are very, very solid. On my free-to-play account, what do I plan to do? What I plan to do over there is I plan to take Uugo, build up to level 60, get her fully mastered, take her into my clan boss, because a lot of my champions in my clan boss team don't actually have lifesteal gear. The reason why, or a big reason for that, is because I was focusing on Dragon, I was focusing on the arena, and my clan boss is at, I think, 2 key brutal, which is pretty good. It's going to be difficult to move to Nightmare, but I had Rector Drath doing decreased attack, and just not having lifesteal gear made the most sense. So now, on most of the champions, not all of them, my Frozen Banshee does have lifesteal gear, my more squishy champions do have lifesteal gear, but now I can get Uugo in place of Thylessia, get her going pretty fast, have that consistent leech applied to the clan boss, and heal my champions without even having lifesteal gear on them whatsoever. It's going to open a little bit more freedom as far as the gearing goes. It's going to be very, very solid. Now for the arena, I'll probably still use Thylessia because I don't quite have the nuke capabilities to one-shot everybody with Yakaro without kind of the help of Thylessia, to be honest. Now, the block buffs is going to be absolutely amazing, and I may bring Uugo, since she's already going to be built for clan boss. She'll be faster than my Yakaro. I may bring her in here against like Duchesses and Magnars, because there's been a lot of situations where Magnar just one-shots my entire team. It's an absolute disaster. So I may bring her in there against that. Yakaro, what are you going to do, dude? You're gonna kill everybody? You're going to basically show that I was wrong and he can one-shot everybody? He wants to prove himself. During the video, okay, well, he failed me. Yakaro, what are you doing, dude? So obviously, I need the decreased defense, of course, right? I can't quite do the extra damage. The decreased defense there, I think I could have one-shot everybody. Without the decreased defense, not going to happen. But with Thylessia's extra damage, it makes the matches a lot safer. There's been plenty of times where my nuker will die. Not so much with Yakaro, but in the past, my nuker would die, and Thylessia would actually finish the match and do very well. She's Force Affinity, so most of the early champions who are going to do damage, most of them, not all of them, but most of them are Magic Affinity. So they do weak hits on her all the time, and it was very, very nice. But like I said, very big issue against Magnar and Duchess, which are 2 of the, I guess, huge Spirit Affinity champions who are pretty big threats, right? If Duchess survives, she's going to res, block debuffs, Veil, super annoying. If Magnar lives, he just does Magnar stuff, kills everybody, and then it's game over. So both these champions are absolutely amazing. Both these decreased defense champions, you're probably going to want to build. Uugo, much better into the late game, I think. Thylessia, kind of fallen off from me. She does have usability, but I just have a lot of decreased defense options at this point that I think just outweigh her, and my nuker hits hard enough where I don't really need a Thylessia. But if you're early, mid-game, Thylessia, you need extra damage dealer. I think she works out perfect. Put a little bit of accuracy on her, put some good damage, good crit rate, good crit damage, or 100% crit rate, not good crit rate, 100% specifically, not 99, not 99% stuff, okay? Good base attack, everything like that, the whole 9 yards. Thylessia is an absolutely amazing champion. If you're working on Night Rev's Faction Wars, she is going to be so good. I think she's the only decreased defense champion in Night. Well, only one you're probably going to get, because the other one is a legendary, right? Being by Staphis. Yeah, so we have the decreased defense there, but Thylessia, absolutely amazing champion, guys. Uugo, absolutely amazing champion. Those are the pros and the cons between them. What I plan to do my free-to-play account, that's my goals. I plan to build up Uugo, throw her in Clan Boss, fully book her out, adjust my team based on that. I'm going to get a lot of use out of her. Stopping Ugo's, or not Uugo's, stopping Leoris's, stopping Skullcrowns in the arena is going to be very nice as well. But guys, that is a champ versus champ on Thylessia versus Uugo. So there's my opinions. That's what I think. That's what I'm going to be doing. So take that for what you may. Decide who you want to build. Uugo, I think she's probably the victor in this situation. And I think she has more uses and more situations, but by no means does that mean that Thylessia is bad. She's a very, very viable champion, very usable across the game, and you're going to get used out of both of them, most likely. So guys, let me know what champions you want me to do next. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.